Welcome to Betting Weekly Tennis Live, brought to you by Bet Rivers. I'm Rory Jiwani. With me is Nigel Seeley, and we'll be looking at the action in Rome, where the last women's quarterfinal between world number one Aryna Sabalenka and Qinwen Zheng is about to get underway. Nigel, this is actually quite a nice opportunity for us, as we can almost play this match in running, at least for some of the first set. The odds about 15 minutes ago, and I'm sure they'll be the same. Sabalenka minus 315, Zheng plus 240. We're waiting for the coin toss. That will probably determine who serves first. That will probably make a difference. Have you got a position on this match before we get started?
I haven't got a position on the match. Good evening to you. Good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. Good morning. Hello. I feel like David Frost there. Good evening. Good morning. Wherever you
Hello.
are.
Good evening.
And welcome. I think it's a match where you have to look at. Do you look at the history of this head-to-head, which is massively in favour of Aryna Sabalenka, or do you look at the potential of this tournament and think there might be a fatigue issue for Sabalenka, who just went through an absolutely massive match last time out against Kostyuk, where Kostyuk pushed her really, really close. So I think this is an interesting match betting perspective for me, because I know that Sabalenka holds a 6-love head-to-head record against her. In 5 of those matches, she won 2 straight sets. Zheng has only taken 1 set, which was in China as well, by the way, in Wuhan in 2024. But on clay, I think it's a bit of a leveler, because I still don't rate Sabalenka. I think because it's an evening match, I was out in Rome recently. Obviously, I came back at the weekend. I was out there for the weekend there. The conditions are much cooler in the evening. So it's now 7 o'clock local time, which will make it a little bit cooler. There's been a bit of rain around yesterday. It's not as hot as it was at the weekend when I was there. So I think the conditions will suit Zheng here. Obviously, Sabalenka is the best player in the world by a mile at this moment in time. But I would probably want a little bit more than plus 245 with Bet Rivers. Sabalenka's minus 335. I think we'll get the opportunity to bet Zheng. But she was rocking in that second set against Kostyuk. I quite like the 4.5. Start that Zheng is getting, and I quite like the over 20.5 at minus 127. I think Zheng's got a chance. What do you think? They've got the toys, they've got the toss up now going on. What do you make of it?
I think if Sabalenka's going to get beaten, it's in these conditions, as you say, it is slower. Zheng, of course, won Olympic gold at Roland Garros last summer. So we know she's good on clay, and she does seem to be coming back into form. She's looked pretty good this week. So I think this will be a really big test for Sabalenka. Obviously, the head-to-head's massively in her favour, but this is probably where she's going to be at her most vulnerable, when it's a bit cooler and a bit slower. And the Chinese has got a chance here. But yeah, she needs to start well. Sabalenka in the past has quite often just blown her away. So Zheng has to kind of hang with her early on. And she'll get chances. Sabalenka, for all that she's world number one, and as you say, the best player in the world by some distance, she does give you opportunities. She does have, she does hit a bit of a flat spot. Her serve can go a bit awry sometimes. She starts missing things, and Zheng's going to just have to really try and capitalize on that. And I think Sabalenka's won the toss, so I suspect we'll see her odds come in slightly. But as I say, this is the 4th of the quarterfinals. Last night we had a couple of epic women's quarterfinals. One of them, which you had a Shnaider, looked to have it in the bag against Jasmine Paolini, and then suddenly the wheels came off in the second set. And then we had an epic between Peyton, Stearns and Aryna Svitolina, which went on almost into the early hours. They were playing that. Obviously, we had the rain delays. What do you take out of yesterday?
I take a lot of money out of my wallet. That's what I take out of it. I was very strong on, well, not very strong, but I thought the value was in the bottom half, the draw, how the top half was so loaded on our preview show of the Rome Masters on the WTA show. And I went with Shnaider and Ostapenko. Ostapenko was obviously the pick, but Bet Rivers I found were very, very shrewd to go 35-1 Shnaider. Other sportsbook were offering 100, which I took a bit of the 100. And I thought we had it in the bag. I thought 7-6, 4-love. We've got it in the bag. And I'd be on a 50-1 shot today, and it wasn't to be. It was the most. Both players traded -1,000. It was a very, very expensive afternoon for me. I didn't hedge, obviously, but I would have hedged. Well, I don't know if I would have hedged with Space Stearns. I probably would have taken a little bit out of it, but
I should have been favourite. So
no, it should have been -$2 minimum. So, but it was so close to winning it. But and it sort of put me off for the rest of the day. I was very. I went through a lot of emotions watching that match. I decided not to get involved in anything later on. I didn't even watch the playoff match in the football match, which I would have watched. And I decided to have a nice early night and wake up and think that didn't actually happen to me, and it actually did happen to me. So I was, I was in a bit of shock yesterday. But I'm looking to just changing the subject again. I'm looking at this live match. It's just about to start here. I think we're moments away from this match to start here. I mean, Zheng looks pretty good at coming in some good form as well. The other thing you've got to say about this is that there's only been 3 women who have successfully won the Madrid and gone on to win Rome. So this is the task that Sabalenka has. I know. I mean, Coco Gauff was exceptional early today. She's been exceptional all week. I think if you're looking at the tournament now, she's the one player I think's. If you just come down without knowing anything about the players, she's the one player that's been the best performer for me. But there's only 3 players. You know the 3 players? Can you name? Can you do the 3? Can you guess?
I guess. I suppose Serena must have done it.
Aryna Williams is one of them in 2013.
Beyond that,
we just wanted last year.
Okay, of course you did.
The other one, I think.
No,
the other one was back in 2009. Dinara Safina.
Oh wow!
She was they're the only 3 people to do it. So this is a tall order to win back-to-back tournaments here in very, very different conditions at altitude and into Rome. So she's got a big task. She's got a major starting in less than 2 weeks from now. So I feel that if you're going to get Sabalenka beaten, this could be the tournament you're going to beat, either today in this match here or against Coco Gauff. I don't believe Sabalenka will win this tournament. That's my bold statement of the day. But on this match here, I'm going for 4.5, and I'm going to play the over. Over 20.5 now is -134, and +4.5 Zheng is now -120. As you said, Sabalenka is just about to serve. She's -335 on the money line to win this match. Head across to the bet rivers. No, don't head across. Stay on this show. Have it on your phone. Have it on your other tablet. Watch this show, and then have the bets on, and we'll talk you through the match as it goes on. But there's loads of other tests. There's a men's match later on tonight, matches tomorrow as well, and some big movements on the futures market as well. But my pick here is Zheng +4.5 and over 20.5. I don't think this is going to be as easy as Bet River suggests here.
Interesting you mentioned Dinara Safina, because she was coaching Diana Shnaider for about a month.
Sacked.
Yeah, well, she was coaching her up until last week.
Bring her back.
So I think they only were together for about a few weeks, and now they've split. And Shnaider, I mean, that was incredible last night. As was Stearns Svitolina.
I was messaging you, Roy, when I was saying, I can't believe it. I wanted to bet, and then all of a sudden you said to me, in the very polite manner that you do, in the way you've done it, I don't think we really need to have that conversation now, Nigel. Very, very. I can.
It's trying to be diplomatic.
Yeah, my reactions going on in the Seeley household was not as diplomatic as your WhatsApp to me. But anyway.
Anyway, let's actually, while we're talking about it, we can have a look at the futures market for the French Open women's tournament. And we kind of predicted it last week. If Swiatek didn't produce, she'd be toppled, and she has been. She's now second favourite. Can't remember the last time that happened for the French Open. Sabalenka now favourite at +225, Swiatek +240. Coco Gauff, who, as you say, Nigel, probably been the eye catcher of the last week and a half here and in Madrid at $6. Mira Andreeva, who went down to Gauff earlier today, $7. And then it's $30 bar. So Paolini, Zheng at $30, Keys and Ostapenko and Svitolina 33s, Pegula 40s, Shnaider 45, and then it's 50 bar those. I mean, I have to say, I had a little bet on Zheng at $35 earlier this week because I thought she was coming into form. And I have had a couple of darts at some big outsiders, including I had Stearns at $400, which she's now $250, because I thought she'd beat Naomi Osaka, and I thought her odds would contract after that. And she has won a tournament on clay. It was Rabat last year, the week before Roland Garros. But have you got any thoughts on those outright prices at the moment? I mean, first, obviously, the first thing is obviously Swiatek no longer favourite.
Yeah, I mean, and rightly so on her form. And on her form now, should she be second, third? Should she be fourth favourite? I think it's we come out with power ratings every week on the Betting Weekly newsletter and the Insider, which you can subscribe to by going to bettingweeklystudios.com. And this week I've been working on the women's power ratings for the clay court season. It's really how low or how high you can put Iga Świątek, because on current form, she's not. I would say she's probably about the 6th or 7th best player in the world, what we've seen in recent weeks. But the market loves her. The people on this channel love her. And you can't really put her at too much of a low price. But on this moment in time, if she was playing Andreeva or Coco Gauff on a clay court and those players were a decent dog, I'd have to bet them. And I think they will be a decent dog against them. You've also got to remember now that Gauff will probably be Gauff will be number 2 in the world, and Iga Świątek will be number 3 in the world. So she's going to be in the same half as Sabalenka, which makes both of them very, very difficult to bet. It doesn't help either of them. So the value definitely is whoever is going to be, away from them. So you would expect Andreeva, you would expect someone else. You won't believe it, but I bet Shnaider at 80-1, and then when I saw yesterday's performance of the hour, so I bet Shnaider 80. I also bet Kostyuk at a big price because the last 2 matches she played against Sabalenka, she's been so close to beating her, 7-6, 7-6, and the second set the other night she should have beaten her. So Sabalenka will not relish playing Kostyuk. Kostyuk's a player that I've always liked and is gaining with confidence each week. But I think it's a very wide open tournament. I think you asked me on Betting Weekly WTA the other day if I had a free bet, where would I have it? And I said I'd bet Paolini. If I was not given a free bet now, I think I'd probably have to bet Coco Gauff at 6-1. I think that would be the bet, because I don't think there's much between the two of them. I fear that Sabalenka might burn out by the time she gets there. And I still don't think she's a out-and-out clay court. And if the weather in Paris is wet and slow and damp, or it's not as sunny as it has been in Rome and Madrid, I don't think she's going to be a threat. The conditions are very different to Madrid. I don't think she should deserve to be favourite. And I think the slower and it is, the better it will suit Gauff. So I think the takeout for me at the moment is Sabalenka is the best player in the world. She's been exceptional in her clay court form, but I think everything's gone in her way. And I'm not, you got to rely on a lot of things to go for her to win the French Open, because it is the one tournament I think she's going to struggle to win. Yeah,
I'd agree. I'd out of the market leaders, I think Gauff is definitely the value at $6. Interestingly, when it comes to players that have been wagered on for the French Open, Iga Świątek on money, 2/3 of the bets of the cash has been on Świątek plus 240. Half of the tickets at plus 240. Sabalenka's next, 19.2% of the cash, 18.1% of the tickets. Andreeva's next, but then you're massively down, only 3.4% of the cash, 5.5% of the tickets. So, and then Gauff, 2.9% of the cash, 8.8% of the tickets, and then it's the rags.
That will change when the draw's out, though, Rory. I mean, there's very, very, very little betting on futures on majors before the draw is out and the week before the build up to it. I think there's a lot of people just watching what they've seen this year and thinking, I'm going to take a little bit the early value, someone performing well, or looking at someone like Iga Świątek, who's someone's probably a tennis novice and can't believe they're getting plus 235 about someone who usually starts around about minus 150. So I wouldn't, those figures will be very, very small handle. So when the draw comes out, that's when we see the serious betting. But at this moment in time, I think, the fact that the two of them are going to be in the same half the draw really makes the two of them a fade for me.
Could be, I think. She could be in either Świątek, because I think she's going.
Oh yeah, she could be.
Well, so she could be in. If she's in Sabalenka's half, then her price will almost certainly go out further. But given what Gauff did to her in Madrid, she wouldn't want to be in that half either. So it's kind of, I couldn't go near plus 240 at the moment. I should say, it's in Sabalenka against Zheng, our biggest bet of the day, $7,500 on Sabalenka on the money line, minus 294 to win that match. Sabalenka has held serve. She was taken to deuce. It was a bit of a struggle, but she got there. She's won the first point on Zheng's serve, so she's now minus 455.
Big movements, isn't it? Big movements,
plus
isn't it?
370.
And
actually,
it's tennis.
Minus 530 now.
Yeah, this is women's tennis, and we move so much on break points. I mean, really, and points get up 30. Breaks come pretty much. It's most women players are odds on or minus money to get to break their serve rather than keep their serve. So I mean, the line movements are insane, really, on some of these women's tennis matches because things change massively. I mean, she was minus 530 for a second. Now she's now 30-15. She's back to minus 450. So big movements in play on these kind of matches. The other thing as well is that, we talk about their wages, 7,500. The big money always comes on in play because people watch the match. Pre-match is very much be a lot of money in parlays. A lot of people put them in the parlays with the baseball tonight, the basketball, whatever. They put these in short price parlays, but the actual big hitters come out in play. And what you need to make this a competitive match is Zheng to break her, and then we've got an interesting match. But 15.30 now, and the price is minus 480 for Sabalenka. But this point's a huge point. Now it's 30 or minus $4 from minus 530. But women's tennis, I mean, come on, there's so many 2 points above 30 go from minus 350 to minus 530. That we should have learned this from yesterday that we shouldn't be looking too much into that.
Well, your game spread bet now, Zheng's plus 112, 4.5 games.
Yeah, you always want to be. You always want to be with the player once she's hold her serve, though. So if I'm ever betting in play on a women's tennis match, you don't want to be betting Zheng now at 40-30 on her serve. You want her to have that game and then go and break the point. So if I'm being given plus 130 at 30 all, I'd rather take minus 120 when she's got the game. Yeah. Because if she doesn't have the game, then it's a big. You always want to be with the player when she's got the game over, rather than take a risk of her at 30 all. Now she's got the game now. She's minus 134, but still 4.5. I'd rather take that now at minus 134 than have the risk at 30 all and being broken. Money line minus 305 Sabalenka plus 230. That was minus 550. Like 3 points ago, a break here. But I think Zheng started well here. She started really well.
She certainly held serve better.
I'm really happy on the over 20.5. I'd love to be on the over 20.5.
There we go. So we'll keep you up to date with that one. Let's look at the men's tournament, because later today we've got a massive match. Home favourite Lorenzo Musetti against Alexander Zverev. Musetti plus 143, Zverev minus 17. The spread 2.5 games, totals 22.5 games. Neither player's dropped a set so far. Musetti beat Daniel Medvedev in the last 16, and Zverev defeated Artur Fils 7-6, 6-1. Zverev won their first meeting but by retirement, but the Italians won the last two, including on clay at Roland Garros at last year's Olympic Games, when Zverev was defending the title. What are your thoughts on this one, Nigel?
Well, that match in the Olympic Games in 2024, he come from playing the final of Umag to go to the Olympic Games. He was absolutely exhausted, Musetti, and he ran all the way to the semi-finals. He picked up a bronze medal, didn't he, in the Olympics? I think it was a bronze medal. But he was incredible how he done that. So he's got the win against Zverev on clay. He's got the crowd behind him. I mean, it's an absolutely formidable place, the Rome Masters. If you ever got an opportunity to go there, you'll see how important the home advantage is. You saw Paolini, the crowd get behind her yesterday, get Shnaider and bring her through. There was no way the Italian was going to lose that final set. Absolutely no way watching it. Even she went a breakdown in the final set. She got through from the crowd. The Italian fan base is phenomenal in the worlds of tennis, and I think that is worth something to him. Massively worth something to him. The other thing I think is worth something to Musetti is I think it's going to be a bit slower tonight again. I mean, it'll be 9 o'clock local time tonight. Now, that'll be cold and that'll be chilly. That will drop. The temperatures will drop. That'll be cold weather. That'll be, long trousers. It does get. I was in a restaurant the other night, and by 9 o'clock, the people were bringing blankets out. So that will no, true. It was cold. It got chilly. So that will make a big impact, and that will help Musetti. So I think Zverev here has got a test. He's got a real test. We want him to win because we're on him at 25-1 on Game Bet Match, and I think he can win. Bet Rivers, I think they're plus 143. I think that's the best price in the land. I don't see any reason why Musetti can't beat Zverev here. I expect Zverev should be a marginal favourite, but if you weigh in the home base factor and you weigh in the conditions, I would be plus 143 on any given clay court. But if you factor those in, I would probably have Musetti down to closer around about plus 120, plus 125. And we do know that Alexander Zverev is not one of the most mentally strong tennis players, and he can
being diplomatic
wobbles.
there. No,
yeah, we know that he's got problems in terms of holding his concentration and being able to see things through. And I think with that home crowd, I think that could get to him. So I like Musetti in this matchup, plus 143, and I think that Musetti should be around about plus 120. So there'll be nobody in the crowd cheering Alexander Zverev. No one, apart from the people in Zverev's camp. And Musetti, I think, is a nice price. I like Musetti in a lot of things at the moment. I think Musetti is a player on all surfaces who's got confidence now. He's got the baby boom, just had a baby. Got the bait, and his form has just gone through the roof. He's a high careers rankings. He's a former Wimbledon semi-finalist, player that knows how to play on all surfaces, and a player that I think is going to have a really, really good summer in the French Open and at Wimbledon as well. Good player, and I think he could start here. I think he could go deep here. Well, he's gone deep already, but I think he can beat Zverev. I think he could go all the way to the final.
Wow,
could be an all-Italian final, Rory.
It could be. Of course, earlier today, we had some exciting matches. We had Casper Ruud getting the better of Jaume Munar in straight sets, and Carlos Alcaraz getting past Jack Draper. You mentioned possible all-Italian final. Of course, Jannik Sinner's back, and he's winning, and he's playing well. What have you made of Sinner so far this week, and generally the tournament?
Well, I don't think he's playing that well, actually. I think he's doing what he has to do, and I think he's got a little bit of an injury concern. But he's so far ahead of everybody in terms of the best player in the world that a 70% Jannik Sinner can beat most of these players in this draw. I mean, his record is phenomenal. He's 10-0 this year. He's 27-0 from the end of last year. The last person who beat him on the main tour was Carlos Alcaraz in Beijing. And if you go back to that, he's 40 winning matches and 1 loss. And that was the last loss before that was Rublev in Montreal. So that is how dominant he is. People are dropping like flies in the world of tennis at the moment. And Jannik Sinner is supposed to be a bad boy. Served a 3-month ban. He's come back fresh as the daisy and running off matches. I think he's playing Casper Ruud, who has got that very, very difficult task of winning Madrid and then winning Rome. As I said about Sabalenka, I think it's harder for Ruud. Ruud has never won a 1,000 event before until last week, so he'd be partying and be happy about that. He also come here with a bit of an injury concern. He's played well, done what he had to do, done okay, but I think he's against an opponent that he's got a terrible head-to-head record. I think it's 4-0, never won a set, and I would expect Jannik Sinner to blow him away, actually. I think Sinner will win 2-0.
Yeah, we can have a look. You mentioned there Musetti was a player to look forward to this summer. We can look at the French Open men's outright odds now. And as you can see, Alcaraz plus 150 favourite, Sinner plus 200, as you say, just coming back, first tournament back from that suspension. Zverev, $8. Djokovic, who's split with Andy Murray, that didn't last long, $11. Casper Ruud, $13. Holger Rune, $16. Jack Draper, $18. If you'd have told me that Draper would be $18 for the French Open at the start of the year, I would have laughed at you in your face. Tsitsipas, $25. And it's 40s bar those. Any of those take your interest? And Musetti at 40, you still think that's
I think the one that takes my interest is straight at the top of the market. Jannik Sinner at 2-1. I think he's got to be favourite, isn't he? I don't believe that on this moment in time that Sinner should be underdog over Alcaraz. Again, on our power ratings on the Betting Weekly newsletter, which is available to subscribe at Betting Weekly Studios, Sinner's our top player in the world, 100 on clay court ratings, and Alcaraz is 96, I think it is, which means that Sinner would be about a minus 105 chance if they met Alcaraz in the final at the French Open. And I know it's over 5 sets and he's a bit rusty, but I think if he wins this tournament, then that $2 is going to be, he'll be favourite. I just can't see how he can't start favourite. He's going to be number 1 seed. He's going to have, you would expect to have a favourable draw. And I think Jannik Sinner, that's the first one that I would look. Novak Djokovic at 11-1. I wouldn't bet him at 33-1. I think he's personally gone. I think that's a lot of percentage in the book that's wasted there. Jack Draper can't win on slow conditions. He's too rushed. You watch him yesterday. You watch him today. He starts off like 100 miles an hour, like Denis Shapovalov. There, he's off the blocks, incredible, and then all of a sudden he gets broken. And his body, I don't think can go 5 sets in the French heat if it's a hot tournament. I think if I was given a free bet now, Sinner would definitely be the bet. Lorenzo Musetti at 40 is a big price, and our old favourite Francisco Cerundolo. I know he came up short yesterday against Jannik Sinner, but probably the most consistent clay court performer this year. And if he's in a different half to Sinner, I think he can beat a lot of players. So Musetti 40-1 and Sinner. Italian tennis are going to be dominating for the men's game at the moment, and that's where I'll be seeing it. But I don't believe for 1 minute that Jannik Sinner should be the second favourite against Alcaraz as we stand now.
But you said he's only sort of 70-75% at the moment. Do you think he's playing well enough to win this tournament? Because obviously that would have a big effect on the odds for Roland Garros. Yeah,
because I think he's that much better than everyone, including Alcaraz. I think he's just on a different level. I mean, his stats are unbelievable, and I mean, I think he's just. I don't think the market actually realizes how good this guy is. I honestly believe the market still think that there's a Carlos Alcaraz, Jannik Sinner rivalry, like a. I don't know, I would say
Federer and Nadal. I don't know.
Well, probably not, because Federer was so dominant on one surface and Nadal was so dominant on another surface. I'm trying to think of another kind of rivalry where, but I just believe, and I've said it from the day one I saw them, I thought Sinner would go on to win many, many more majors than Alcaraz, because Alcaraz was more injury prone at an early stage, and Sinner was all about conditioning. Sinner needed to just be fitter and last 5 sets. And now I think he's just head and shoulders above everybody. And to come back here in 3 months and, to show you how good the guy is, he had an audience with the Pope today with his mum and dad. And, the new Pope. So he's one of the first Pope the Pope's seen. So, I mean, he's a superstar. And I just feel he's on a different level to everybody. And I think that in years to come, next year, the year after, you'll look at it and think, Jannik Sinner was like second favourite to win a major. I think he'll be favourite to win everything. I really do. And it wouldn't surprise me if he did win everything. I think he's that good.
Time is a little bit against us. We're going to have a quick look at the Wimbledon men's outright odds, because you see Sinner is favourite there at plus 150, Alcaraz plus 220. You were saying you were interested in, I don't think he's on the list there, but you're interested even in Musetti for this tournament.
Well, I like Musetti again. I mean, he got to the semi-finals last year and he's playing the best tennis of his life, highest ranking. He knows he can play on all surfaces. So Musetti's another one I like. And the other one I like, who's at the bottom, there's Hurkacz, 100-1 to win Wimbledon. I mean, he is getting back to some fitness. He's through to the quarterfinals here. He plays tomorrow against Tommy Paul, which is a winnable match for him. And I love betting players that are doing well on surfaces that you do not expect them to do well. It's one of my biggest mantras, I suppose, in the betting world. When I watch someone who's doing really well on a surface and think, well, how's he doing? Like Jack Draper, for example, that is a big warning for anyone at Wimbledon. But Jack Draper's 8-1 to win Wimbledon, and Hurkacz is 100-1 to win Wimbledon. And if they played in the quarterfinal, I would probably make it a slight favourite for Draper. So there's a huge difference in price there, 10 times the price Hurkacz is to Draper. But Hurkacz is a player that can play on grass. He's won on grass. He's a big server.
Absolutely.
He's coming to some form. Triple figure prices, and Hubert Hurkacz is too big. So I quite like that for that reason, because he's playing tomorrow in the quarterfinal. There was a question there. We saw a question from, was it Gratzeri? Did you see it there, Rory? Did it come up on the screen?
I did see it briefly. Yeah. That was it. Yeah, in running, a point can just change the odds so quickly. Well,
yeah,
a point can change a match so quickly. Yeah.
Anything can change the match. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, especially on women's tennis. Men's not so much. But there's vital points. There's a always point that I play on, and I've mentioned it many times before again. And there's a sort of a tutorial video on the YouTube channel, 1540 on the men's game. If you've got a big server at 1540, serving at 1540. The market always wants to be with the guy receiving. But statistically, a big server at 1540 is still the favourite to win the game.
Yeah.
So at 1540, everybody wants with the guy who's got the break point. But if someone can bomb down an ace and then win the next point, statistically he wins it. And that is the big point where you trade. So at 1540, always get with the server. There's a little video on the YouTube channel to explain that, but 1540 is a big crucial point. On the women's match, every point's a crucial point. And every game's a crucial game. I mean, everything's mad. But before we leave, I'll just give you an update on these. We're 2-1 Sabalenka going with serve. Zheng is advantage on her serve, -$4 Sabalenka. The spread is still 4.5. The total's moved up from 20.5 to 21.5. I like the 20.5 here. I like the spread on Zheng. If you haven't done it already, -109 looks a fair price, but wait for her to hold this serve and take the lower price. And then obviously tonight we're very heavily on the Musetti camp. And for tomorrow's matches, I've just recorded a little, very short video with Sean on Betting Weekly Game Bet Match, where he's broken down the 2 quarterfinals tomorrow on the men's draw, which will be available on the YouTube channel a bit later on.
Yeah, as we said, we were talking about Hurkacz Wimbledon. He's playing Tommy Paul. Hurkacz +170, Paul -220. Zheng has held serve. She had to save a couple of break points, but she has held serve.
Hurkacz, 4.5 is a big price now, -114. At 2-2, that is a real big price. It hasn't really moved. It's got a bigger price. It's a bigger price now at 2-2 than it was before the match started. I think, and now she's returning to try the opportunity to break. Hit that button. Get across the net. Hit that button. +4.5 Zheng. That's a great bet. I like that bet a lot.
Hurkacz Paul tomorrow, but also Jannik Sinner, Casper Ruud. Sinner -400, Casper Ruud +275. Just quick thoughts on those 2 matches, and we need your daily double, Nigel.
Oh dear, you pushed me now. Herbert Hurkacz against Tommy Paul. I'm going to go with, I think that's over 23.5 games, really. -103. Sinner Ruud, I go under 21.5 games. And we've got a women's match, haven't we, as well tomorrow? We've got Paolini.
Yeah, we've got Paolini against Peyton Stearns. Stearns obviously coming through that epic, both coming through epic encounters yesterday.
I'll leave that to you. You can go.
Well, I didn't really have an opinion. I mean, as I said, I did like Stearns at a price for Roland Garros. She has won a tournament on clay, which Paolini hasn't. Paolini's reached 2 finals. She obviously reached Roland Garros last year, and the year before that lost to Qinwen Zheng in Palermo. But goodness me, I mean, who knows what that match is going to throw up. I mean, I suppose Paolini with home advantage, she's still going strong in the doubles as well with Aryna. So, wonder if fatigue might be an issue.
Mentally, she must have been gone for that match against Shnaider as well.
Yeah, but I mean, Stearns had to come back from, went to a 3rd set tie break. That went on all night last night. So yeah, that would be an interesting encounter. So for you, Nigel, your daily double was the overs and the unders bet, was it?
Yeah, over 23.5 Hurkacz against Tommy Paul. I think they've bet 3 times before in the ATP Tour, and everyone's cashed over 23.5, including a quarterfinal here last year. And I'm going to go under 21.5 Sinner. I think Sinner will beat Casper fairly comfortably. So that would be my daily double. And Rory, we've got 3 break points on the Sabalenka serve. Love 40 Sabalenka for Zheng to take the break and go 3-2 up. And she takes it. 3-2 Zheng with a break. Lovely jubbly. 4.5 looking very nice. 4.5 looking good.
4.5 looking very good. Quick calculation. That daily double would pay +280 thereabouts. So if you fancy that tomorrow, that's your daily double. I think that's just about it. Ending on a high note with Zheng getting the break.
Yeah, I'll give you some updates here before we leave. Sabalenka's -205. Zheng is +160. Spread is now 2.5. Talking about in-play movements. That was 4.5 before that break tonight, and total 23.5. So we're on the 4.5 spread, Zheng plus 4.5, and the over 20.5. So looking good in play now. Head across to the BetRivers app and BetRivers website for all the latest in play. And remember, if you do have a bet with BetRivers on this match, you'll be able to bet live and watch live. Like, all these matches are live streamed.
Lovely stuff. So there you go. Nigel, as always, a pleasure. I'll be back with you. When will I be back with you? Probably at the weekend.
Sunday.
Is it Sunday?
Yeah.
Because we've got Strasbourg and Rabat in the week before Roland Garros, when most of the top players will be off. We'll see what they throw up.
I hope it's not Saturday, because they're at Wembley for the FA Cup final.
Yeah,
So
no.
it'll be Sunday.
Yeah, I hope, yeah, it will be Sunday. Cup final. Who's in the cup final? I don't even know.
Crystal Palace and Manchester City.
Palace and City. Yes. Well, that should be that was City's last chance of a trophy this season.
Yeah. And Crystal Palace never won a trophy ever.
No.
A major trophy. So good luck to them.
Yes, good luck to them indeed. Thank you very much, Nigel. Thanks for tuning into Betting Weekly Tennis Live. That's us for today, and that's us for the week. But the team will be back next Monday. Nigel and I will be back before then. Sean and Nigel will be back as well before next Monday. But keep up to date with the Sabalenka Zheng match. Going well for us at the moment. And we'll see you again next time on Betting Weekly Tennis Live.